friends, it's Christy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a card using the Sunny Studios Fabulous Flamingos stamp set. So I've stamped the images I'll be using on some Nina Solar white cardstock with Lawn Fawn jet black ink, and I'll be coloring with my Copic markers. I'm going to begin by coloring my flamingos, and for them I'm using RV13, RV14, and RV17. So I'm laying in some shadow on this first guy down the left side of his body, also underneath his wing. I'm going to accentuate his tail feathers and his wing feathers just by drawing in those scallops a little bit more. And then I will begin to blend that out with the RV14. So I'm just pulling out that darker shade and softening the edge of that RV17. I'm also going to keep on accentuating those little scallops on the tail and the wing just to really make them more prominent. And then I will fill in the rest of their bodies with the RV13, coloring carefully around his eye because I don't want to lose that white spot in there, that little catch light. And then I will also fill in the rest of the wing so it's a little bit lighter than the body. For the female flamingo, I am putting the shadow down on her head on the left side, and then I'm going to switch to the right side of her body just because she's facing left but her head is turned to the right, so that was a little bit more complicated with the light source, but not too bad. I didn't want a really dark shadow right close to her nose, so I chose to do it this way. But other than that, I'm coloring her in exactly the same way, and I have to say this is the first time that I'm playing with any Sunny Studios products, and I really enjoyed working with them. So these flamingos especially are just too cute. And by the way, these could be any gender that you want them to be. I just picked one randomly for each, but you could definitely make them all girls or all boys. There's no difference here. For their beaks and legs, I pulled out W00 and W1, added a little bit of W1 as the darkest, and then blended out with the W00. I did find on their legs that it wasn't quite enough contrast for me, that W00 just really wasn't showing up very well. So I am going to pull in the W3 as well and just add a few shadows here and there, right up under their bodies and on the base of their feet. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Just enough to give you a little bit more contrast. For my first group of leaves, I'm using YG11, YG13, and YG17. I just put the shadow down toward the center of the leaf where the crease is, and then I blended toward the edges with the YG13, and then I'm going to finish to the tips with the YG11. And I'm going to color two of the leaves with this specific color combo. Next, I'm going to do the little one down toward the bottom, just to the right of the second flamingo. And then I'm going to continue using this combo because at this point I thought I wanted all of these kind of similar style leaves to be the same shade, but then I just realized I wanted a bit more contrast. So after I finish coloring it with the same combo that I've been using, I'm actually going to add in the G46, which I use often with these three shades. I think these four work really well together, and it just kind of takes that combo to the next level. So it's just going to give me a lot more saturation and just help differentiate them a bit. So once I have the G46 laid in, I'm just going to go back down through all of my other marker shades to blend that in. And you can see the difference there between the one on the left and the one on the right. It really makes, you know, a lot of a bolder impact. So having both in the card will just give me more of a variety of tones. So I'm just going to finish up this last leaf that looks the same style as the others, and then for the other two I'm going to switch it up and use G24, G28, and G29. And because they're so skinny and there's not a lot of room for blending, I actually went in first with my G24 and got that light shade laid in. And then I could just add a tiny bit of that G29. I laid that in on the underside of each leaf toward the stem. And then I'm going to blend that out with the G28. And I apologize that my hand is covering quite a lot of that, but hopefully you can see what I'm doing as I shift from leaf to leaf. And then I will blend that out with a little bit of that G24 again, but I'm not going to color the entire leaf in. I'm going to leave some of that original layer of the G24 on the tips. And then for the other plant, I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm filling in the entire leaf with the G24, and then I'll come in from the base, kind of like I did on the first few leaves, and put that darkest in the center, and then blend out with that G28 and let that fade in on those little skinny fronds. And just like I did on the other one, I'll blend out with a little bit of the G24, but I'm just going part way down the tips. For the flowers, I'm going to color all three the same. I'm using RV10 and RV13 to add a couple little flicks of color toward the centers of each of the flowers. And then on this little plumeria style, I just did like a little line on each of the petals. So I started with the RV13 and then blended out with the RV10. And then I'm going to switch to some yellows. I'm using Y11 and Y13. And I'm going to pull that in from the outside edges so it will get kind of a two-tone effect. And I'm also going to color in the centers with these two shades. So I'm just going to add the Y13 first and blend out with the Y11. Then I'm going to grab my white Sakura Jelly Roll pen and just get that started off to the side and dot over that light in the flamingo's eye, and then I'll trim these out with the matching dies. The pattern papers that I'm using on today's card are from the Sunny Studios Summer Splash collection. So I definitely wanted to use that fun flamingo print. And then I'm going through and trying to choose two tone-on-tone patterns that I think are going to work well. And I also pulled out this wave pattern for my focal panel. I cut that out with the Sunny Studios stitched semicircle dies, and I'm adhering it to a piece of white cardstock so it gives it a little bit more stability. And then I'm going to pop that in my MISTI and stamp my sentiment with Lawn Fawn's jet black ink. And I'm doing the one that says, "Stand tall, you're flamazing," which I just absolutely love. Then I will pop my card base in my MISTI so that I can stamp on the inside, and I'm using Lawn Fawn's Ballet Slippers cardstock and plastic flamingo ink, which I thought was fitting. And I'm going to stamp down another one of the flamingos and a little heart and the sentiment that says, "Tickled pink, we're friends." I stamped that down a couple of times to get a nice bold impression, and now I'm ready to begin assembling my card. I've trimmed down all three of my pattern papers with the Lawn Fawn outside in stitch rectangle stackables, and that gives me a little bit of a border so you can see that lighter pink cardstock showing through, and also gives me that nice stitch detail. I used the back side of the flamingo paper as one of my tone-on-tone prints that has these pretty flowers, and I did accidentally tear it, but I just taped it together with a little bit of post-it tape, and you're never going to see it in the final card because it'll be underneath the focal panel. And then the other print I chose was this leaf print, which I think just pulls everything together. And I added some foam tape to the back of my focal panel, so I'll peel off those release papers and pop that down in the center of my card, and there you can see that little tear isn't even visible. I had originally planned to adhere my flamingos directly to that focal panel, but it just looked like they were floating in the middle of the air to me instead of standing in the water. So I decided to add a little bit of a base for maybe like a sandbar. So I cut down a piece of Lawn Fawn's dolphin cardstock with the simple stitched wavy borders, and I liked that a lot better. So now I can begin to adhere my images, starting with those two flamingos since they are the focus of the entire card. I wanted to add them first so they could be front and center. And then around them, I'm going to start building some clusters with my leaves. So I'll add a dark leaf to each side, one on the left, one on the right. And I just added them randomly. It didn't matter. Either one of them would have been fine on either side. And then to those, I'm going to add two of the lighter green leaves, one that was colored with just the 3 marker colors, and then one that was colored with the 4, so that there's, you know, a little bit more difference on each side of that card front. And I'm going to adjust those leaves. Thank goodness I'm using that liquid glue. I'm using the Lawn Fawn glue tube today so that I have a little bit of wiggle room so I can fiddle with these leaves and get them right in the position that I want them. And once I'm happy with that placement, I will also add the flowers. So I added the larger one over on the left, and then the mid-size one I put over on the right. And then the plumeria style flower I'm going to add to what I'm calling my female flamingo. I just added that to her head. To finish up the card, I wanted to add a tiny bit of sparkle since we are going pretty girly on this one. So I added some stardust stickles to the centers of each of the flowers. And I thought about adding it other places, but I decided to just leave it at that. So I'll tip that into the light so you can see how it catches and give you another peek at the inside. And that is going to complete my card for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Like I said, this was my first time using Sunny Studios products, and I really had a blast with them. As always, I will have all of the products used today listed and linked in the description bar below the video. So if you did like it, please be sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe and ring that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. I've been posting new videos every Monday and Friday for you guys. And if you can't wait that long, here are 2 extra videos I thought might also interest you. I hope you all have an absolutely amazing day. Bye-bye.